Talk about movies with you. Talk about movies with you. We'll learn about behind the scenes and deeper meanings, 'cause this is just a film review.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Film Recommendations. Today we're doing a film called A Shine of Rainbows, and it's a family drama that came out in 2009, and it's actually from Ireland. You know me, I love foreign films, and if you've watched any episodes of this series, certainly. And in this particular case, this is an excellent family drama. It deals with a lot of very emotionally charged things. Um, it's a little bit cheesy, but it's also very heartwarming and wonderful. And I found my suspension of disbelief truly suspended as I was drawn into the story. It's actually a film adaptation of a novel by the same name, written by Lillian Beckwith. Uh, the story centers around a young boy named Thomas, or in this case, Tomas, because anyone who knows Irish history knows that uh, there was a settlement of Spaniards in Ireland long, long ago, and many of the names and cultures um, came with the Spaniards. So you have a number of Spaniards who have, or a number of Irishmen and women who have very Spanish features, such as dark, dark hair. In this case, though, Tomas is ginger. He is red-haired with freckles and big blue eyes and invisible eyebrows. At any rate, uh, so he's an orphan, and this takes place uh, in, I want to say, turn of the century Ireland, just given the level of technology. There's electricity um, and gas engines on some of the boats and things like that. But for the large part, uh, it seems to be, pre 1930s. Uh, Tomas is not very popular at the orphanage because he's quiet, he's shy, he stutters, and we're introduced to him by a scene where a pigeon has flown into the room. So Tomas, not really knowing uh, what else to do, opens the window and lets the pigeon out. Well, uh, the older, bigger boys at the orphanage see this as an opportunity to, mess with them, and are like, "That was our pigeon, and you let him out, and you're gonna have to replace him, and we're gonna have to throw something of yours out that window now." And so they throw out his drawing, and they break his crayons, and he's just kind of left there feeling like crap, of course. And you feel terrible for the kid. This is a horrible life. It's a gray, dismal world, and he is called by one of the priests to then go and oh, and I forgot. Then they also threaten that the next time they'll throw him out the window. So this is not a very pleasant place. This is a very hostile place. Very drab, no colors, and he's the only redheaded boy there in all of Ireland. He's the only redheaded orphan, apparently. And they tell you later on that he was raised by his grandmother, who then died, obviously. And the only thing he has left of his grandmother is his grandmother's silver and bone comb, um, which is, of course, very precious to him because it's all he has left of his grandmother. So he gets called by the priest to the principal's office, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's in trouble." They have no reason to suspect that he's in trouble, but whatever. Um, and inside, waiting for him, is the most beautiful woman ever. Uh, and in this case, this is Maire, uh, spelled Maire, and that's the Irish form of Mary. It's also pronounced Meir. Anyway, um, and she is played by the beautiful actress Connie Nielsen. I had never seen Connie Nielsen to my knowledge before, but this woman is I gorgeous, and she takes him back with her to the small island of Kori, where uh, he used to live with her and her husband, who's a fisherman, of course, um, named Alec, played by Aidan Quinn, who you would probably recognize from a number of other films that he's been in. He's a very prominent actor in British and American cinema, but he's actually Irish. Anyway, so Tomas makes friends with Nancy and Seamus, who are the son and daughter of the school teacher there in the village. And of course, the school teacher and Meir are close friends. They've lived on that island all their lives. And Alec and Meir are very much in love. And of course, um, this actually struck a chord for me because there are people in my family who have been adopted. So um, they told me about how, you know, when they were children and they finally got to have their forever home, you know, their family, their real, honest to God family, that, you know, wasn't just a foster home or anything, and they weren't going to give that child up, you know, after they turned 18 or something, but an actual family that gave them their name and all that. That was their defining moment. They were the happiest they could ever be. So in this case, of course, Tomas is thrilled to pieces about everything. Um, the kids at the school ask him, you know, what was it like growing up in the city? Tell us about the chocolate shops. And of course, being an orphan, he never got to go to the chocolate shops. He never got to really go around the city. Um, he just got to kind of have that little world inside that orphanage. And uh, so he's like, you know, the island of Kori is so much better than the city because you have sheep and boats and, you know, all this cool stuff and seals and just everything. So, you know, to him, this is the most wonderful place in the world. He likes it from the get-go, and uh, Meir loves him very much. So Alec, on the other hand, is very cold towards Tomas because they tried for a long time to have a child of their own, and of course, on one end or the other or both, they weren't able to conceive, unfortunately. Um, so, you know, it's sad, but Alec just does not bond with him, even when uh, Tomas's birthday comes and Meir gets Tomas a fishing reel and line and you know, a fishing pole, right? And obviously she's figuring, well, hey, you know, you two can go fishing together. It'll be great. Um, she doesn't suggest that. She leaves it for them to kind of work out. But that was clearly kind of her thing. And of course, he's thrilled to pieces to not only receive the fishing pole, but also to uh, have his new dad, who there is some drama over signing the papers because Alec will not sign the final adoption papers. Um, so, you know, he's thrilled about the idea of going with his new dad to go fishing, you know, and doing stuff with his family. He loves it. So the day finally comes. You know, they they go the next day, and of course, Alec gets called away by some of the other men on the island to help move a boulder. And eventually they get the boulder moved. Meanwhile, Tomas is waiting there for who knows how long. Um, then uh, Alex says to Tomas, "Go and check on the boat. Go down, wait by the boat. I'll be there." And of course, Alec is going off to the pub to have some beer or a nip of whiskey or whatever. And he leaves Tomas basically waiting there without regard, and just eventually comes back home uh, slightly buzzed. And um, needless to say, Mayer is not happy. She actually went down to the beach and took him fishing, but she's very frail, and so um, she had to row the boat, of course, but it really took it out of her. And this kind of leads her on a downward spiral of health, um, where she eventually, you know, won't hold out. But more on that later. So, in the meantime, uh, you know, he focuses on school. He goes around having a lot of fun with his friends, and he just discovers this wonderful life. He does his chores around the farm. But one other element to the story, and this is very important, is Meir loves bright colors. Uh, you know, uh, in the house, you can see where her touches are in on everything because she introduces a lot of color into the world. Her hair is, of course, bright orange, flaming red, and she teaches Tomas to call the seals, to speak to the chickens and calm them before getting their eggs. Um, she teaches them that this giant stone pillar there on the island is a king uh, that was frozen in stone, and and they that when the half moon shines, this king will grant a wish, and so this sets up a wonderful magical world for Tomas to live in, and everything she gets, uh, you know, for herself, for whoever, there are bright colors there. When they're out on the boat fishing, they see this beautiful rainbow. There are lots of rainbows around the Isle of Corey in the story. And uh, she says to him one day, "I'll take you inside that rainbow." And he's like, "We can be inside a rainbow?" And she's like, "Hmm?" So um, finally one day, Alec kind of warms up to the kid a little bit, and they go down to the boat uh, to look after the the crab cages and the lobster cages and that kind of thing, and you know, catch seafood. And uh, and Tomas sees a beached young seal pup. So of course, Tomas, being a very kind kid, says, "Well, we can't just let it die." So he he and Alec start hand feeding the seal pup some fish so that it'll get its strength back. The seal pup is hesitant at first, but it's very weak from hunger, so it really doesn't have much of a choice. Um, its family doesn't know where it is, so Tomas nicknames the um, seal pup Smudge, and goes down every day to feed it until it gets its strength back. and can either move and get off the beach, or uh, Tomas can take it out into the water, and it can swim back to be with its family. Well, so you can kind of see what happens by what I said earlier. Eventually, Mayer gets sick and dies um, in hospital on the mainland, and it's very unfortunate. Um, the the young man, John Bell, the little boy who plays Tomas in this story, did a wonderful job, and I think that's a combination of both the direction, the acting, all of it, um, to where you believe that this little boy is this character, and he's feeling these feelings. Um, he's clinging tightly to his dying new mother that he's only known a little while, but they absolutely love each other more than anything, the way a mother and child should. Um, and he's bawling his eyes out, crying, and just wants to die. Uh, he's in so much pain. And in the meantime, uh, he's been staying with the school teacher and her family, and the son and daughter who are his friends. And um, while he's there back on the Isle of Corriwell, the father Alec is on the mainland with Nair in the hospital, waiting for her to kind of either get better or not. Um, like an old beggar woman who like carries various goods and sundries around to sell or trade to make her living, some of which she makes. Um, she uh, she stops by the farm and is like, okay, well, if they're not around, if your parents aren't around, maybe you and I can do some business. Is there anything you'd like to get for your mom? So um, she holds up a little jewelry box made of with seashells on the outside. I'm like, no. Um, he says maybe an apron. She likes those, but all the aprons she holds up are really dull. And he's like, I want something colorful for her. So he spots a patchwork tablecloth with all these beautiful colors on it, and of course, that's what he decides to get. Um, so he wraps it up tight and tucks a flower in the string that he wraps it in, because it's very plain paper. He tucks a wildflower in the string to decorate it, and is going to take it to her as a get well soon present, right? Well, unfortunately, um, that's the last time he ever sees Mayer, and uh, he doesn't think to bring it back, but the husband of the school teacher who escorts him to the mainland brings it back, um, and um, the father Alec takes to drinking. He kind of self-destructs. He implodes. Um, he takes all the things of Mayer's around the house and uh, puts them away, and then um, early one evening when the sun has already gone down, but it's still kind of twilight, he puts them in a pile and burns them. And it's absolutely tragic. The boy, Tomas, is just destroyed by having nothing left of her there. So he he received from Mayer, back when she was still on the Isle of Corey, a red silk handkerchief that she bought for her own birthday because, uh, it's kind of a joke because her husband is kind of aloof when it comes to things like that. But She gives it to Tomas and puts a smile and a laugh in it. And so Tomas gives this uh, to Alec when Alec is just sitting there at the dining table uh, with pretty much an empty bottle of whiskey right in front of him and just feeling like, there is no more. There is no life without her. So he's feeling absolutely destroyed. Tomas is feeling like, well, what am I going to do? He's destroying himself. If he destroys himself, I'm going to have to go back to the orphanage and live in that dull hellhole with the bullies and everything. So um, he he gives Alec the handkerchief, which is like the last thing he ever wants to give up. Um, he actually uh, Tomas actually traded that aforementioned comb of his grandmother's to um, the the beggar woman for that tablecloth. So he's kept that secret because he doesn't want that being destroyed either, right? Well, uh, after giving Alec the handkerchief and kind of, not really receiving any kind of uh, confirmation that it's done anything, um, he goes to bed and then wakes up early in the morning and packs up all his things. And then he goes down to the boat. Meanwhile, Alec has had like the most restful night's sleep he has in a long time. Uh, he feels, kind of cleaned by things as if he's finally let go. Um, Meanwhile, Tomas has gone down to uh, visit Smudge and feed him again, and a rainbow descends upon them and rains sparkles and colors down. And he's like, it's mom, so it's a magical moment. And yes, you can clearly tell that Smudge is a puppet. It doesn't matter. It's the point of storytelling where you have to kind of suspend your disbelief. That part is obviously very fake. It doesn't matter. It's a very realistic looking puppet. The motion is the only thing that's kind of fakey about it. But it's not bad. It's it's a good it's a good part to the movie because at this point it's you know something magical happening in this child's life after the biggest tragedy of his life has happened. This kid is not at a happy childhood so far. So he gets it in his head that he has to go and take Smudge back to his family, especially if there's not going to be anyone else to care for him. He's going to run away, and Smudge will just die. So he doesn't want Smudge to have a life of abandonment. He's going to save this seal pup. So he it's established um, that Tomas cannot row a rowboat on his own. He is too small, too young, and too weak. He just is unable to do it. Older boys, a couple years older than him on the island, who have been fishing and running around all their lives, they're able to do it. But he's not because he's been in the city. He just hasn't had that much time to build up his muscles yet. So he rows out, and if you go outside the bay, it's already established that there is a very bad tide, very hard current, that it's hard for someone who's not, rowing very hard and isn't very strong to get caught up in and get capsized and whatever. So, um, of course, Alec kind of wakes up and is like about to make breakfast, and he's feeling much better about himself, and he's going to take care of Tomas and be his dad and everything. But he doesn't know where Tomas is, so uh, he looks all over. He goes down to the boat and sees Tomas cross the bay uh, where the current gets really hard. So the boat gets capsized, as Alec is rowing out to uh, go and get to him, and uh, of course a magical thing happens because uh, Smudge and the other seals get Tomas to shore where he'll be okay, and Alec comes and gets him and takes him back to um, the island, and uh, they live, and they uh, he's sitting down with Alec to breakfast. Uh, Alec says, well, first off, while they're getting breakfast out, they put down the beautiful, colorful tablecloth to show that this is not necessarily the end of their happy times um, together. That Alec has kind of gotten out of his funk and is ready to be a dad. Finally, he only had to have his wife die and the child nearly drowned. Um, anyway, so uh, Tomas is still really ticked off because he thinks that Alec doesn't want him. So, and he thinks that he's really lost everything. He's lost his grandmother's comb. He's lost his new mom. He's lost everything. He's given up everything, including Smudge that he was living for, that he loved. So, without any of that, what is there for him? So he's ticked off at Alec, and Alec's just like, well, I didn't want to sign this paper without your permission. He's like, my permission? Well, yeah. Do you want to go back to the city? No. Do you want to live here then? Yeah. And so it's kind of resolved very simply, but in a very logical way for when you're dealing with a child, Because most children don't know what they want, but most children who are orphans and are looking for adoption and everything, they know what they want. And if they really like a family and a place and a home that they're in, they like it. And it's that simple. Um, and so, that's it from there on out. Uh, so then Nancy and Seamus come over and want to go fishing with Tomas. And Tomas, in a very sweet point, um, says, well, I have to ask my dad. And it's like trumpet sounding, Dad! You know, so it's a high point. He doesn't just have a mom. He he didn't just have a mom there. Now he has a dad, and that that's a big stepping stone. He can get by with at least one parent, but he needs someone there who loves him and cares about him. And that's what a lot of kids in the adoption system want. They don't need a two-parent household. They just need someone who cares about them and wants them. Anyway, and he's like, yeah, then you can go fishing after your breakfast. And that's the end of the story. So it's a wonderful, wonderful film. Um, it, I, I, I watched it and I was absolutely gobsmacked at how good this was. When the mother was dying, I was brought to tears. I was like, oh my god, it's so sad. Anyway, um, it was released in October 2009 as part of the London Film Festival, and it was released about 6 months later in Canada in April of 2010. It's 101 minutes, so it's not too long. Um, it's a little bit upsetting maybe for the little ones, um, but if you are the parent of an adopted child, this is a great film to show because kids will latch onto it if they've been adopted. Even if you haven't been adopted, I think you'll latch onto it because it's a really wonderful film. The English can be a little bit hard to understand at some points, but not terribly. I was able to follow along pretty well. Uh, it's won awards. It won the Chicago International Children's Film Festival Award, uh, the Children's Jury Award. It also won the Heartland Film Festival Audience Award, For Best Dramatic Feature, uh, for Vic Sarin, who was the director. And in the case of the Chicago International Children's Film Festival Children's Jury Award, it won Best Live Action Feature Film or Video in the English Language category, and they awarded it to Vic Sarin, the co-writer and director. It was also nominated for a Genie Award and an Irish Film and Television Award for Best Original Score in the case of the Irish Film and Television Awards, and the Genie Award was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, which was written by Vic Sarin, Catherine Spear, and Dennis Foom. This is honestly one of the best children and family films that I've seen in a long time. It's very original. It doesn't require a lot of overstimulation, but it has a lot of entertaining things. It's very sweet and touching, um, and it's something that the whole family can actually enjoy in this case. It doesn't dumb it down. It doesn't. It has wonderful music, but it doesn't need all of that music from beginning to end, like with a lot of family films you see. Um, it doesn't treat the child like they're stupid, uh, like they're too stupid to follow along to this story. And I find that the cast is a wonderful ensemble. They chose some very talented child actors who were able to act like real children, um, and really um, convey the emotions and the thoughts um, that were kind of running through. And at the same time, the adult performances are enjoyable for uh, people on different levels. So I really think that this is an excellent film for anyone to check out if you're looking for a fairly light film that's not too heavily, but will still be interesting. If you uh, if you if you have to find a film that you want to watch with kids, especially if you have kids that like bright colors, which let's face it, a lot of kids do. So in this case, definitely check out this film. It's called A Shine of Rainbows. Came out in 2009, and that's it for this episode of Film Recommendations. Bye bye.